Hello my friends, Simon the Bald Idiot here. You probably know me from the Ups and Downs series here on WhatCulture, and given that The Smashing Machine, which does feature Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, has just come out, I went to that there cinema or theatre, you can call it whatever you want, and I have watched it. And given that I do have the finger of power, I thought, you know what, we rarely do this for films, but there is some buzz about the thing, so let's give the good bits up and the bad bits are down for The Smashing Machine, the movie based on the documentary featuring Mark Kerr. Sounds good? Let's go. So we'll start with what everybody wants to get into, which is Dwayne Johnson's performance, and he has been very vocal about this in all the media rounds he has been doing. This wasn't about box office, this wasn't about him wearing a grey shirt and travelling around the jungle. That's a meme that exists on the internet. This was about him going inside of himself and trying to act to try and assume a different role and I suppose give a performance like we've never seen before. And I would tell you right now, all of that is 100% true. If you are used to seeing him in Jungle Cruise, the Jumanji movies, can't say that word for some reason, which are a lot of fun, let's not pretend otherwise. Not every single film should come down on you like a ton of bricks, but this is a completely Dwayne Johnson, and he really does, it's the word I'm even looking for, when he becomes another person. Now, whether or not you think he's like Mark Kerr, only you're going to be able to decide, but there were actually points during this where I forgot that I was looking at Mr. Dwayne, and I just lost myself in what the movie was trying to tell me, and I'll be completely honest with you. Listen, I have liked a lot of his old movies, a lot of them are over-the-top fun, but I think it would be fair to say that a lot of the time he just kind of plays himself, and there is a market for that, but to go out there and I suppose become a little bit more vulnerable, become a little bit more emotional, to show him a side of himself that we have never seen before, I think he takes a baseball bat and he hits a home run. I'm most definitely going to give it an up. Now, the follow-up question will be, does he deserve an Oscar for this? I can't really answer that because, well, I love movies. I guess I'm somewhat of a movie buff. But, you know, many people have won an Oscar where I didn't understand, and then many other people have missed out on an Oscar. I didn't understand that either. But what I do know, just to focus on The Smashing Machine itself, is it is the best performance I think Dwayne Johnson has ever given. I think a lot of people are going to walk out of there going, oh, wow, he does have this other side. And I really hope he continues to lean into this more because we're only touching the surface here. We're only tapping on the very early stage of all of this. And if The Rock can now go on some kind of career resurgence where he does have a very definitive second part to his run, I think it was super duper interesting. Especially because, I think this has been confirmed now, he is going to be the bad guy in a Martin Scorsese movie, and I would be surprised if all of a sudden he goes back to the Dwayne Johnson we have seen before. But either way, as a way to sort of change up your career and do a massive 180, just going to say it again, use my stupid lingo, it gets it up. More also going to give it up for the supporting cast as well because Emily Blunt is just brilliant and has now become an actor alongside Ryan Gosling. That's a strange time where if she's in a movie, I'll just go and watch it because 99.9% of the time it's going to be good. But the other surprise is Ryan Bader. Now, if you're into your MMA world, you will know of Ryan Bader. He was a successful MMA fighter. He plays Mark Coleman in this. I don't think he's ever acted anything before. I'm not saying it's going to be the greatest performance you've ever seen in your life, but it's like he just woke up one day and went, yeah, I can act. That sounds like a relatively easy thing to do. It just feels like they went out there and they found a character actor and they threw him in the damn thing. He deserves all the praise, and if he continues to follow this route, he's probably just going to get better and better. Now, did I think he came across like Mark Coleman? I mean, no, not necessarily, but maybe that wasn't the idea here. We just used a famous name, given that it is a movie about mixed martial arts. But in terms of playing the best friend of Mark Kerr and someone that shows emotion and someone that shows worry, it genuinely surprised me that this was Ryan Bader. And I talked to somebody else that knows nothing about UFC, that may as well be a different world to them. They were like, wait a minute, that guy's not an actor? I was like, no, he fought for what, 10, 15 years, whatever the flub it was. And it really is kind of the same for most of the film as well. There's not one bad performance. Even Bas Rutten is pretty good, even though he does oversell one thing. But again, in terms of doing what those people needed to do, absolutely giving it up. Now, in terms of the film overall and you sitting there for a couple of hours, it's super interesting and actually where my first tiny down is, because it's all going to depend if you have seen that Mark Kerr documentary. Now, I'm into my MMA and my UFC, so I have seen it. I don't mind this being a stylistic choice, but what we have done here is we have quite literally copied that beat for beat. So if you have seen the documentary and you watch this, you'll probably have a bit of deja vu going, wait a minute, I think I've seen this before. Now, actually, there is something super duper cool about that. It's a little bit like when you play a video game and that becomes a movie, you're like, oh my gosh, they're repeating the same scenes. The Last of Us TV show would be a good tie-in. But I guess that did take something away from me, although now I've said it out loud, I think I'm being unfair. But listen, if I don't put it down on one of these videos, people do go nuts. But I could understand if maybe you wanted to see Benny Safdie do something a little bit more creative. Well, yeah, sure, maybe there'd be something to talk about. But it was produced by The Rock's company, and they have to have sat down and realized how many people are actually going to watch that documentary. So overall, on a mainstream level, it's probably not a problem. But again, I'm not mainstream, I'm just a bald idiot. That's how I felt about it. It's also one of those movies where not a lot happens. Now, I actually don't mean that as a negative. It depends if you are into your characterizations and if you are into your slow plodding narratives. Like, there's not really anything I could sit here and tell you. Like, do you see Mark Kerr fight? Yes, of course you do. Do you see Mark Kerr battle with his drug addictions? Of course you do. And do you see the very somewhat controversial relationship he has with his girlfriend? Of course you do. But there's no like, oh my gosh moment or this one singular thing you could point at as, oh, you're not going to believe this. And the pace is very methodical. So I guess it's going to come down to what kind of mood you're in. But I absolutely love films like this because you can just put your butt in a chair, maybe get some popcorn to annoy the rest of the audience and get lost in this world that they have created. I mean, you're meant to be much more into the characters as opposed to what the characters are actually doing, which is probably why it worked so well for Dwayne Johnson, because he could sit there and just embody and take in and try and become Mark Kerr. This one is going to be very divisive. I'm going to give it an up because I went on Saturday night to a movie theatre and this is what I wanted. Just something that, I mean, you have to think about things, but because it takes its time, you're allowed to, I don't know, chew on it or digest it, whatever word you want to use. But other people could go in and say, man, I wanted to see a man get his ass whipped. And you do get a bit of that. I don't know. It's an interesting one, but I'm giving it up. I also want to mention Alexander Usyk, who's in this movie as well, who also just embodies his character really, really well. But the only other down I am going to throw in there is that if you do know the life and times of Mark Kerr, there are some serious things we did miss out. And this is just par for the course. Like, again, it's around about 2 hours in its running time. You can't cover everything. Otherwise, it goes back to what we were just talking about. It would be too much for your brain. And you'd be like, man, I have no idea what happened here. It's like you're throwing information at me. But I suppose they're never going to make a sequel to this, especially because it hasn't done that well at the box office. Although why anybody cares about that unless you are financially involved, I do not know. But especially when you do learn about Mark Kerr's drug addiction, which is super duper dark, we kind of skirt over that quite quickly, I would suppose, because we want to make sure we tell the story of the UFC and most definitely the Pride Fighting Championship in 2000. That is where I'm going to throw another up on this. It has been recreated pretty damn well, because we are all wrestling nerds. Seeing the Tokyo Dome kind of reimagined in this way, well, it just made me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. I'm sure most people that go to see this will have no clue what the Tokyo Dome is, but I liked it, man, because of New Japan. I am a geek. In terms of rewatchability though, unless you actually wanted to go through it again to watch what The Rock was doing, I think that would probably be a down as well. Like, I've seen it once, again, mostly because I was so fascinated about what the Great One was going to do. I kind of feel like I've had my fill, but it also could be one of those movies where in 10 years' time you do go back to this, you see what The Rock has done in the aftermath and gone, hot damn, did that man figure it out? Like, some people I'm sure will, I don't say maybe critical of the performance because that's way too harsh, but I'm sure some people won't be as impressed just because the hype has been so much. But if you had followed The Rock's movie career for the last 25 years, I just think he deserves all the plaudits. He deserves a massive pat on the back because, again, let's use that magical word. He is so damn vulnerable here. There was that rumor, and who knows if it's true, I do not know. I imagine that lots of action stars actually have this in his contract, but in his deals, if somebody punched him twice in the face, he got to punch somebody else twice in the face because you want to come across as this badass. That is not the case here at all. At one point, he's in the shower and he just starts crying. So he's in the hospital when he does that. He laughs when he's in the shower. And that's when it hit me. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I forgot he was Dwayne Johnson. That means you've probably done a good job, repeating myself, of embodying the character. So I really did like this. I thought it was a super fascinating, interesting film. And actually, Dwayne Johnson taking on this role in the way that he did do is what makes it so damn intriguing. Like if it was a Brad Pitt or a Ryan Gosling, who I brought up a few times now, or a George Clooney, you know, these guys that have kind of done this before, Sam Rockwell, he's very good at these roles. It probably wouldn't have been great as the hoopla as it has done, but The Rock at what, 52 or 53 years of age, essentially, in a positive way, turning his back on the kind of stuff he has done before to venture down a new path. I tell you, you should go and see it. That will get you through the damn thing alone, And overall, I am going to give it an up. I think it's a very good film, and I did not feel like I'd wasted my money, which ultimately is how you should take in all of your reviews when it comes to entertainment. Somebody asked for this much cash, I passed it over, you bought yourself some popcorn, and when I left that damn place, did I feel like I'd been ripped off? No, I didn't. And was I intrigued to talk to you about other people? You know what? Yes I was, because I had a lot to say. If I was going to throw one last tiny down in there though, and this is me being massively unfair, I do not think The Rock needed to get as big as he did for this film. The man is gargantuan. Now, as a dude who goes to the gym, I did find it very impressive. But even when you actually go and see images from Mark Kerr in the year 2000, 1999, 1998, 1997, I don't think he ever got to the heights that Dwayne Johnson did here. My gosh, the man is a machine. As opposed, and this may be very individual to me, sometimes it just made me giggle because he is walking backstage with other fighters. And obviously that doesn't make you a good or a bad fighter or anything like that, but he is so damn massive, it did kind of take me out of it a little bit. But then the dude bro me was like, bro, Rock, you're the coolest man I've ever seen in my life. It probably ties into one of the reasons he has shrunk down, to use that crazy term. Have you seen him on this PR tour that he is doing? He is not a small man, and when you sit him next to a normal-sized individual, he still looks like the size of a house. I think that conversation kind of got taken over a little bit by the internet. However, on the flip side, in this movie, you will never, and I mean ever, see The Rock at this size again. In many ways, it's utterly ridiculous. I'm pretty sure he had a vein in his nose. I think I already did this, but now I'm repeating myself because I'm throwing myself around here like an absolute idiot. But yes, the movie for me absolutely gets an up. I was very, very impressed, and I would be happy to recommend it to you, although just with the tiny pinch of salt that if you're not into, well, yeah, just slow-paced character journeys, which is the dumbest thing I've ever said, it's probably not going to hit you in the same way that maybe The Rock's other films have done. Some people do just want to go to the cinema and get a shot of adrenaline right in their body. That is not what this is. However, if you want to see The Rock do a proper acting job, as I run out of words, The Smashing Machine is for you. Now, way more importantly than all of this, I want to know what you thought about the movie, so drop me a comment below before you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. There'll be another video on the screen, which is probably me talking about pro wrestling. That'll be fun for you, unless you hate pro wrestling, but you should click it anyway. But otherwise, my friends, I always appreciate you stopping by. See you soon.